Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am so glad I'm happy that you're with us today. I'm so glad you're with us today. What we're talking about today, we're going to start out by talking about headaches. Now, as a chiropractor and a pain management specialist, I see a lot of patients with headaches, and sometimes it's the primary reason they're here. Sometimes it's the secondary issues. But I want to talk about headaches because me personally, headaches and sore throats are two things I just don't like. I can deal with back pains and leg pains and foot pains, but boy, when I tell you headaches just are not fun. And I personally had a traumatic brain injury, probably several, but the one big one when I was a child, I was hit by a car. I was visiting relatives in Germany. First time I ever went even like out of the state, I think. And I got hit by a car and I landed on my head again after I rolled off the car. And they thought I was dead. So I'm not sure I don't remember any of it, but somehow I ended up in a hospital in Germany and I wasn't dead, obviously. But I had headaches right on the left side of my head. And I still have flare-ups of those headaches periodically. And so I'm assuming that was the primary trigger of it. And then I played football and hockey and street fights and whatever else I did as a kid. So it became a permanent injury. Now, I am certified in traumatic brain injuries. So I understand traumatic brain injuries, and I'm sure that's what it was. Because if you're knocked out, well, in fact, definitely, if you're knocked out, you have a concussion, you have a traumatic brain injury. There's no question about that. So if you have had injuries to your head, and I think we all have, you bumped your head in the attic, you slipped and fell, maybe on the ice, banged your head against the ground. If you were jerking around as a kid, somebody pushed you, over a chair or something. Many times, these traumatic brain injuries can be lifetime issues. And so I want to talk about things that can trigger headaches. And then if you do have a previous traumatic brain injury, even more so. Things you got to look out for. So let's jump right into it. There's a lot of things I got to cover. And as always, we just never have enough time. Your vision's blurry. As you get older, you get something called presbyopia, where you can't see up close like you used to. And that's why, old people wear cheaters or readers, glasses. And it happens because our body changes. I mean, unfortunately, as we get older, our body does change. And fight as we may, there are going to be things that just don't work like they used to. So if you have that issue, you may be trying to struggle and you're too vain to wear glasses. Folks, give in. There's nothing vain about wearing glasses. So you can then read closer. You can try contacts, but again, I used to wear contacts too, but you're always giving up one or the other. You're giving up near for far or far for near. And I remember my eye doctor telling me years ago, she said, nothing is ever going to be clear as glasses. So if you don't mind wearing glasses, that's the clearest vision you're going to have. There are surgeries you could have. I've heard very many success stories about surgeries. I also heard a few nightmares. In fact, at the station, one of the guys I worked with at the radio station, they wanted him to do an endorsement for one of these big eye clinics. So they said, we'll give you LASIK surgery. And they did, and he lost vision in one of his eyes. And they had to do like 3 or 4 other surgeries to get the vision back, and he's okay now, but that was pretty scary. So there's the pros and the cons to it out there, but you're just wearing glasses is probably going to be the easiest thing with the clearest vision. And that could be causing a lot of headaches. If you stare at a computer screen all the time, that can cause headaches. So you may have to figure out what to do. Raise your computer screen up, put it down. If your computer screen is too low, that can put stress on the neck. Now, as a chiropractor, as a pain management doctor, as a non-surgical orthopedist, we're always looking at structure. What structure issues are causing the pain? So what you want to do is you want to sit in your chair and you want to have your legs, your thighs should be straight out and then your legs drop down. Your arms should be same thing. Up against your elbows against your body, your keyboard should be straight in front of you. It shouldn't be higher or lower than your arms being straight out. And your monitor should be even with your forehead. That's the ideal scenario for computer setup. If your computer is too high, you may be looking up, and if you wear glasses, that can affect your body. And if it's too low, of course, you're looking down, and that can affect your body negatively as well. So years ago, I've been in practice a long time, we didn't have computer neck, we didn't have tech neck, people looking down at their phones all day. And so it's been a whole new cottage industry that has formed for pain management doctors and chiropractors like myself, where people use the computer. And it used to be people come in for neck pain and back pain that they were doing gardening, or they got in a bicycle accident, or they were, slip and fall. And now, so many of the patients, did you do anything traumatic? No. What do you do all day? I sit at a computer. Well, that's repetitive injury. It's repetitive motion and a repetitive injury. So it really has built a whole cottage industry for pain doctors because we're screwing ourselves up. It's what it is. So you just got to be able to set your monitor and set your body in the right position so that you're less likely to have these issues. And this is where chiropractic care comes in. We're going to do things to our body that's going to cause the body to move out of place. Chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. Absolute no-brainer. Why you wouldn't go to a chiropractor if you have back pain first thing blows my mind. I still, to this day, and I've been doing this for 30 some odd years now, I still can't comprehend why chiropractic isn't the portal of entry for pain. In fact, good news is that the military, the VA, is now referring out to chiropractors on a regular basis. We're seeing lots of folks come in, and the VA pays for the first 12 visits. And if you need more visits, you can request more visits. So they're saying, wait a minute, chiropractic, most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. We as the VA don't have a whole lot of options, injections and pills, that's about it. What if we send them to the most effective, least expensive doctors? That's us, chiropractors. So if it's good enough for the VA, if it's good enough for most professional athletes, it's good enough for most professional musicians, it certainly should be good enough for you to get well and stay well. And that's our goal. That's our motto here at the office. Our motto is that we want to naturally get you well and keep you well. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be seeing us if you have, in this case, headaches. And that kind of goes along with the hunching over with your phone. You can get tension headaches, sometimes a hot shower, a hot pack might work, over-the-counter meds can help. I'm amazed how many patients come in and say, I manage my pain with medication. Sometimes that's necessary, absolutely. But many, many, many times, once they get under chiropractic care, we get their diet straightened out because we also do nutrition with our patients. We check their digestive system. It blows my mind how many people are able to reduce or eliminate their need for medication. And I can't understand why people don't come here first. A lot of people do, but some people don't. And they end up here, I've been to this, and this doctor. And now finally they say, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this would work. And so it's kind of cool. And that's how we get a lot of referrals too. You tell your friend who tells your friend tells your friend. So anyway, we want to get you well. We want to be your doctors is what I'm saying. We have offices, by the way, in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. And we would love that opportunity to be your doctor. So if you go to our website, drjoe.com, you can make an appointment to come see us. We can usually get you an appointment within 48 hours, usually 24 hours if we can, sometimes the same day. So other things that might be causing your headaches. You're hungry. Heard me talk about hangry. That's a new word, kind of. I don't know if it's in the dictionary yet. If you haven't had a meal in a long time, your blood sugar can dip, and that can cause headaches. It can also cause mood swings. So I've had lots of people I've known, and children too, where they just get hungry, they don't know why, and suddenly they're moody. It's like, where'd this come from? Everything's going fine. Where'd this mood swing come from? And they may not feel hungry right away. Many times, when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you don't feel hungry, you feel thirst. And so many times when you're thirsty, you feel hunger. So what's the difference? When you're a baby, little baby, you have two parts of the brain. One feels thirst, one feels hunger. You can sense the two. And so little babies are very thirsty all the time. And they can get fussy, and then you give them a drink and they calm down. Adults, when you grow up, the two parts of the brain grow together. So sometimes you have a tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst. Many times you think you're hungry, but you're thirsty. So you might get hungry, you might get hangry. In reality, you're really just thirsty. So try having a big glass of water first and see what happens. Many times that solves the problem. So if you can do that, that might solve the issue. So got to drink more water. I like to drink tea. I speak a lot, obviously. And so I use slippery elm tea. It's a natural herbal tea. Do not recommend caffeine tea because black tea, which has caffeine in it, also absorbs aluminum from the soil. It's a natural thing. Even organic teas have aluminum in it. So I'm not a big fan of the black teas. I'd rather have you go with like the herbal teas. Like I said, I like slippery elm because it suits my throat. So that's something else we might want to consider too. If you're hungry, you might that may actually be the issue. Coffee. Got to talk about coffee. So many people drink coffee. How many people drink coffee? Raise your hands. A lot of you do. I read a study one time, several years ago, I don't know if it's still true, that the number one import into the United States was oil. The number two import into the United States is coffee. And so that says a lot about how much coffee we're selling. You see lines around the coffee stores and how people will wait for a long time sometimes and spend a ton of money. It blows my mind. I can't understand it because I don't drink coffee. But if you drink coffee and then you don't have coffee, it certainly could cause headaches. In my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It, I wrote a chapter called Kicking the Habit. And what you want to do is not stop coffee altogether, because many people get headaches. So what you want to do is you want to cut back on the coffee. And it's a real simple thing to do. Is all you have to do is take 1 tablespoon of coffee every hour. Black coffee, no cream, no sugar, no whipped cream. 1 tablespoon of coffee every hour, and that's going to help reduce those headaches. Because the way it works is like this, and I know a lot of doctors listen to this show, and so I'll give you the breakdown for it. You might not really care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Your brain releases a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine gets absorbed by your body and helps you calm down, helps you relax. So what happens is adenosine is released, it goes into your body through an adenosine receptor site, and you calm down, you get tired. Caffeine looks like adenosine. So what caffeine does, caffeine blocks up the adenosine receptor site so that you can't absorb the adenosine. So it prevents you from getting tired. Now, caffeine also has an effect on what's called the systemic nervous system throughout the body, but the adenosine receptors are where you get the headaches from. So you are not producing as many you're not producing as many adenosine receptor sites because you're getting filled up. So your body says, I got to make more. So your body makes more adenosine receptor sites to absorb more adenosine so that you can get tired. Well, your body's telling you, hey, relax, calm down, go to bed. Well, you're fighting that by drinking caffeine, blocking up the adenosine receptor sites. So now you come off the caffeine, and the adenosine receptor sites apparently can trigger pain if they're not getting adenosine, and that can cause the headaches. So you don't want to go cold turkey. You want to cut back on the coffee. That was a little complicated there, that explanation. But 1 tablespoon an hour, it usually takes about 2, 3, maybe 4 days, and you're off the coffee. If you're going to drink coffee, because I'm also a realist, if you're going to drink coffee, I recommend organic coffee only, no exceptions. Because coffee is sprayed with a lot of chemicals and pesticides, but also coffee is stored. Once it's picked, it's stored for a long time in many cases. And so it can grow fungus and mold. So there's other chemicals that are added to kill the fungus and the mold. So you want to drink organic coffee. They don't use the chemicals on organic coffee. And if you can do decaffeinated, better still. Because decaffeinated coffee, if it's organic, they use water processing. They don't use chemicals. But if you have regular decaffeinated coffee, many times they use petroleum products to extract out the caffeine. So that could leave residual petroleum products in your coffee. So organic decaf is going to be your best choice if you have to be a coffee drinker. Regular organic is the next best choice. And then, unfortunately, regular coffee with the chemicals would be your next worst best choice, I guess would be. But many times you're drinking coffee because you're tired. So here's my secrets. People say to me, Dr. Joe, how do you run the life that you run at your age? And I say, I have secrets. So here's my secrets to energy. So hopefully you can follow this so that you can cut back on your caffeine, coffee, soda, chocolate. Number 1, drink a lot of water. Many times you're just tired because you're dehydrated. So drink more water. Supplements I take for energy. Of course, the minimum supplements I think everybody should be taking is Super Greens and Essential Source. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Essential Source. They're 2 powders. They taste great. They're on our website, drjoe.com. You can order them. Joe, as our shipping department head, he will get them out to you within probably a day or 2. Or you can come pick them up. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, and we check the website for hours, and you can come by and pick them up. Save you some shipping costs. More than happy to put the money in your pocket instead of the post office. Super Greens is an essential source. Many times that's all it takes. Some people takes more. It takes more for me. Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support opens up your blood vessels, can help lower blood pressure, gives you a ton of energy. I can't take it past noon. If I take my nitric oxide after noon, I can't go to sleep. So that's another trick that I do. Nitric oxide for many health benefits, but then also an energy as a side effect. B-complex. Dr. Joe's B-complex. What does it do? Helps the nervous system, gives you energy. Dr. Joe's adrenal support. To a lesser extent, helps with energy, but also helps with hormones. So people always say, what can I do about my hormones? You got to treat the adrenal glands. And so does Dr. Joe's adrenal support. So Super Greens, Essential Source, nitric oxide, B-complex, and adrenal support. A is probably going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than it would be drinking fancy coffees. And it's actually good for you as opposed to coffee, which is then bad for you. And of course, we get headaches, and I've never had anybody get headaches or any negative side effects from the supplements, which is kind of cool. So if you're skipping your morning coffee, go to that 1 tablespoon an hour. And many times what will happen is you'll forget. An hour will pass, 2 hours will pass. Oh, I didn't have my coffee today. That's a sign that you're weaning off. We're talking about things that can cause headaches. Romance. Sometimes romance can relieve headaches, which can be very good. However, not tonight, honey, I have a headache, could be a real issue. Because sometimes when people get excited, they can bear down, and that can put pressure inside the skull, called intrathecal pressure inside the skull and the membranes around the spine, and that can cause headaches. So if that's the case, you might want to consider breathing, yoga exercises, learning how to relax. You don't have to get rid of your romance. You just have to find ways to not get that tense and don't bear down. Keep breathing is really important. Now, the number one cause of headaches by far is pinched nerves. And as a chiropractor, I've been seeing patients now for about, 38 plus school. Yeah, many years. I've been seeing a lot of patients, lots and lots. And almost every headache patient I've ever seen, there's always a pinched nerve as a component to the headache. And that's what chiropractic care comes in. So if you're a headache sufferer, chiropractic care is hopefully going to be your knight in shining armor. It's going to solve a lot of your problems. So hopefully that's going to solve that. If you do have headaches, you want to come see us. We have offices, again, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Normally, the first visit is $720. We've reduced that to less than half, $299. That's an exam, consultation with one of our doctors, x-rays, first adjustment, going over the x-rays, complete nutrition evaluation, very thorough. Patients come to us all day, every day, and say, I've never been to a doctor who's so thorough as you guys. So we really get in there and we will try to find out the cause of your healthcare problems, not just treat the symptoms. And not just headaches, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling. Chiropractic care is amazing in most cases for all those conditions. And car accidents. If you're in a car accident and you feel a little dizzy, you feel tired, you have blurred vision, loss of memory, you get knocked out, that's a sign of traumatic brain injury. And if you don't treat that right away, which I didn't do when I was 10 years old when I had mine, it can cause permanent damage inside the brain. So you don't want to play with that. It's pretty serious. Other things that can cause headaches. That's what we're talking about today. Oh, you want to make an appointment. drjoe.com. You can book it right online or call us. We'll get you set up. We accept almost every insurance. I think there's only one we don't take, and the only reason is it costs us more to take a patient than it is seeing them because they make us do so much paperwork, jump through so many hoops, and the deductibles are so high. In fact, finally, some insurance companies, $6,000 deductibles, and this is a real thing. I don't know if your insurance does it, but it's a real thing where they say, well, we're going to pay the doctor, I'm making up a number, $50. But your copay is $50, so we're not going to pay the doctor anything. So yeah, you have insurance to cover chiropractic, medical, dental, whatever it is, but they're not paying the doctor anything because you're paying it out of pocket. And now there's a movement that if you have these issues, you could send it to the state, and the state boards are going to the government and saying, hey, come on, you don't have insurance because you're paying it all anyway. So if you are in that case, let us know, and we could always, I'll tell you where to direct your complaints to. So the insurance commissioner is working with it. So it's just a sneaky little way the insurance companies got around paying for anything. Yeah, we cover everything, but you have to pay for it. Well, then you don't cover anything. Anyway, I digress. Swollen sinuses, big issue. If you have swollen sinuses, that can put pressure, and especially in the front of your face, and that can lead to headaches. So there's drugs you can take, of course. However, drugs have side effects. So if you have swollen sinuses, let's think about this. Why do you have swollen sinuses? And the answer is oftentimes you're eating foods that are hyperallergenic. Now, you could have a cold or a flu or a viral infection. That's short term. If you have it long term, I want you to cut out the foods that cause the mucus and the swelling. And the top two foods that cause mucus and swelling in your sinuses are wheat and dairy products. Wheat and dairy products. Cut them out. Here's my challenge. Cut out wheat and dairy for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, have wheat and dairy. Maybe a couple slices of pizza. That's wheat and dairy. See how you feel. If your sinuses clear up and then you eat wheat and dairy and your sinuses fill up again, you know the reaction. No more wheat and dairy. It's pretty simple. Okay? So wheat and dairy are big players here. I want you to consider cutting them out of your life. You should do it anyway, especially if you have sinus problems. Another thing that can cause sinus problems is acid reflux. If your stomach is pushed up against your diaphragm, or worse, through the diaphragm, acid from your stomach can come up into your throat and into your sinuses. And that can cause acid reflux heartburn, throat swelling, raw voice, chronic cough, and if it goes high enough, it can actually cause sinus problems. I don't know how many countless patients we've seen. They've tried everything for their sinus problems. Nothing worked. We went ahead and fixed their stomach. We pulled the stomach away from the diaphragm, and their sinus problems go away. And again, you got to cut out the wheat and the dairy as well. But sinus issues, big problems, usually easy to fix. And when we fix somebody's sinuses, they always say the same thing. That's all it took? Yeah, that's all it took. Stop causing mucus, stop eating the foods that cause mucus, and then fix the stomach if we need to. And in most cases, you're thrilled. So we have answers to a lot of your health questions, and you get excited when you come in as patients because finally somebody has a hope for you. Biggest thing we offer in our offices are hope. Hangovers certainly can cause headaches. I shouldn't tell you this. Patients have reported to me many times that in order to avoid a hangover, they take a scoop of Dr. Joe's Super Greens and a scoop of Dr. Joe's Essential Source before they go out drinking, a scoop of each when they come home, and a scoop of each next morning, and they say that really helps with the hangovers. I shouldn't tell you that because I don't want you drinking, but I'm also a realist. So if you're going to drink, that's what you want to do. Headaches, brain freeze. Anybody got brain freeze when you eat ice cream? A lot of times we do. Simple fix. Take your thumb and push hard on the roof of your mouth. And many times that reduces the intensity of the brain freeze. We're not really sure what causes it. We're assuming it's vasoconstriction from the cold and it reflexes up into the brain. But if you do have it, simple fix. Push on the roof of your mouth. You'll look silly eating ice cream or drinking a margarita, but it works really well. Of course, if you hit your head, that could be traumatic brain injuries again. So when we evaluate our patients, we always do a questionnaire. We always ask, are you dizzy, numbness, a loss of memory, brain fog? If that's the case, we start thinking, yes, traumatic brain injury. And then chiropractic care is used to open up the nerve and blood supply to the brain. And then we do nutrition evaluation to reduce the swelling inside the brain. You want to get to traumatic brain injuries as quickly as possible. That's why if you're ever in a car accident, if the car was damaged, in my experience, you were damaged. So what happens is the seatbelt holds your body, but nothing holds your head. So your head snaps back and forth in an accident, and your brain is floating in fluid inside your skull. So your brain slams against the skull on the inside, and that can cause a traumatic brain injury. So that's also called a concussion, but you want to come see us immediately after a car accident. Number one, it's for your health. Number two, the insurance companies, again, play games. They say, well, you didn't go to the doctor, we're not going to treat you. We're not going to pay for these bills. So the quicker you get to a doctor, you kind of take away their power to say you didn't go to the doctor fast enough. And there is no standard, but some insurance companies are less aggressive than others. But you definitely want to make sure you get to us as quickly as possible. So as soon as you're in an accident, call us, email us. You can always send us messages through the website, drjoe.com. We get the messages through the weekends too. So if you say, hey, I was just in an accident on a Saturday, you can send us a message and we'll go ahead and say, all right, let's get you in on Monday or whatever it is. We'll work with you. And if you have any questions, you can send them to me through the website, drjoe.com, any health questions. The supplements we talked about, all available on the website or in our offices. drjoe.com has our office listings. If you want to make an appointment, and I think you should, because everybody's got health issues. Nobody ever comes into our office saying, I'm perfectly healthy. We check their spine and they're perfectly healthy. I think twice in my career, I couldn't find anything wrong with a patient. And I've seen thousands, I'm guessing tens of thousands of patients. So if you want to get a checkup, if you have an issue, stop suffering needlessly. drjoe.com, it says book an appointment, book a consultation. It's all over the website, or call us. We'll get that taken care of for you. Follow us on social media. This is your homework assignment for all this fun information. At Dr. Joe Esposito. That's our handle, at Dr. Joe Esposito. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. We want to be your doctors. We want to get you well and keep you well. drjoe.com. We'll be right back.